Good morning, noon, evening or night, depending when you're watching this video. My name is Alegende and welcome back to World of Tanks and the NBTT'ay Replay series. Today we are featuring iTzGodlyz in his WZ121FT. And before I'm going to delve into this replay, I want to admit that I was having kind of a conflict between two particular replays uploaded. So before we are going further, I want to give a special shout out to Lucky71 in his SU100M1, who could not make it towards this particular NBTT'ay Replay episode because that replay pretty much had less action. It was more that he was camping at the back, which eventually led to a draw with only a few interesting moments more towards the end. So I'm going to save that particular replay for a future World of Tanks Greatest of Games episode. But let's go back towards iTzGodlyz, also in a tank destroyer and also pretty much camping for now, which is quite logical. Although this particular tank destroyer can be very aggressive when necessary. But that will be actually really necessary this game, because in a few moments you will see how much the team of iTzGodlyz doesn't want to win at all. And it already starts off with the links. So iTzGodlyz makes perfect use of this location. Pretty much standard tank destroyer gameplay. Go towards a position which has a lookout towards a majority of the map in order for you to snipe at several enemy tanks which are going out of cover. We see that iTzGodlyz is also very keen on taking some blind shots. It's, well, pretty much a very common strategy amongst the better players, because they are quite certain about their cases whenever an enemy tank is at a certain location, or they estimate the chance well enough or valuable enough to take those blind shots. That's why you see unicorn players do take blind shots more often than regular players who want to protect their amount of shells or hit points or credits. I don't really know exactly, but when you are very certain about the case, especially in a tank with a fair amount of ammunition, you can easily take some blind shots. However, in this tank, that might not be such a good of a case if you want to preserve some credits, because the WZ doesn't have the best of ammo capacity, which means that iTzGodlyz right now is already nearing his end of normal AP ammunition and has to switch soon towards his heat, which also can run out very quickly if he continues to blind shot all the time. However, right now, with the amount of deaths caused by the team, the enemy tanks are starting to get further and further forwards. So here a great example of ammunition use. iTzGodlyz fires HE at the Ramato Borsig Waffenträger. Lowly armored tank has a higher chance for the HE to pen and deal extra damage. And it's very good that iTzGodlyz recognize the threat from the other side well in advance enough in order to counter it and pretty much destroy the G-sword right here. Or not. Because this gun can be trolled at time to time. It is a Chinese TD after all. And after a few painful missers of shots, iTzGodlyz still doesn't... Wait, he doesn't kill the G-Saw with that shot, meaning that it was probably either a shot at the tracks or a low roll, but yet another shot doesn't do the job, and it turns out that he was moving just as itzGodlyz fired, and well, it was a low roll after all, and that took a substantial amount of shots to get rid of that G-Saw. And now you see that the ammunition is getting towards a more critical amount. So itzGodlyz really has to pay attention towards his shot and be more careful. And like that, HE doesn't ban the ELC, which is well kind of bullshit in my opinion. But well, it's the game. It's pretty much how the game works. So right now in 2v6, it's getting quite tricky for itzGodlyz to, well, get a win out of this, but still with 10 shots left, which, well, right now he really has to switch towards heat for the moment until he might get a confirmed one shot off, especially now that the ISU is moving up. But I can understand that in this kind of scenario, itzGodlyz is more worried about the tension now in order to win. But he takes a other, well, great amount of choices right here, pulling back towards the hill crest in order to bounce several shots because he was making his tank profile as short as possible. Now he gets almost butt sexed by the ISU, but luckily he reacted in time, moving backwards. Some great marksmanship on driving right there, focus firing on the tanks with the quickest reload, and now hoping that the ISU might whiff another shot, which he does at his gun. A bit of luck right here, but considered how much effort on, well, focus firing and maneuverability itzGodlyz pulled off right here, I think he really deserved that shot, being a non-penetration on his gun. But you will see right now that itzGodlyz only has 3 shells left, 3 heat shells, and I'm not sure how much HP the enemy T28 prototype has, or the enemy links whatsoever. It really is important for itzGodlyz to connect all of his shells right now in order to stand somewhat of a chance to still win. So he makes a good effort in order not to be caught in the open, making careful peeks at several locations, knowing for sure that the enemy tanks aren't located at those positions anymore, and just slowly scouting out the enemy side of the map in order not to be surprised by an enemy ambush. Like here, he takes the long route around in order to create as much distance towards him and the enemy tanks to, well, potentially be further away and harder to fire at, or even not to be spotted. But he goes towards a location in mind which he thinks that enemy tanks could stay at. But right now one of the enemies has notified itzGodlyz about his position. However, he makes a critical mistake right here in order to, well, scout out the other enemy tank, which, well, hasn't been spotted yet, so presumably he is AFK. itzGodlyz is saying that as well, but maybe he knows that the T28 prototype has just got too much hit points to, well, destroy with 3 rounds. But the Lynx surprisingly isn't AFK, and it would really be amazing for itzGodlyz to only have to fire 1 shot, even though he sets Lynx on fire, he rams him, it isn't enough and has to fire another shot. Hopefully the T-28 prototype is now a one-shot whatsoever, but he really didn't make the correct move here by, well, going around towards the enemy base trying to find the AFK links. And he apologizes for it. He knows it's mistake. Maybe he just wanted to deal more damage, and this just assault on injury, getting tracked right on the way towards cap circle. But yeah, I don't really know. If you wanted to make a chance, it was way better to go back towards the friendly base in order to hopefully kill the T-28 prototype, his final few shells, and maybe stand somewhat of a chance for a draw or a victory by, well, outplaying the Lynx. Which could very well be, because he was AFK until the very last moment. So before we go to the end game results screen, let's just watch how much this team didn't want to win in this battle. We are starting off with the Lynx 6x6, which was going towards a very aggressive position and, well, didn't really have the driving skills in order to retreat fast enough, getting killed with 0 experience earned. After that, the ELC even 90 doesn't also have the most of smartest idea, going towards a very forward position way too early and getting slowly but surely outgunned by WZ at first and very much rushed down while he was in reload. Ouch! Then we have the ISU, who is also having a mental breakdown or something like that, and just rushes forward without, well, really doing any damage at all towards the enemy person, not aiming his shot correctly, and getting punished because, well, at least 3 enemy tanks could shoot at him. After that, it's the ISU 152K, who also goes towards a very open location and just stays there because, well, he can still get shot at, but, well, he wants to blind fire. But once again, he gets pretty much pummeled by line of fire of multiple enemy tanks and eventually gets destroyed as well. Both of these ISUs also did 0 damage. Then we have the IS-22 right down the hill, who was already pursuing the enemy line also way too quickly and was already getting some side shots from the downside of the map. And now he's really in a position, once again, just like the previous 2 tank destroyers, in the open, in line of fire of multiple enemy tanks. Sideways, not in cover at all. And this IS-22 ended up with only hitting 1 shot of damage and, well, pretty much nothing furthermore at all. And then the other IS-22, who also is a little bit too comfortable in this position. At least he is in somewhat more of a concealed position. He doesn't really know when it's time to retreat. Even when he gets shot by the ISU, chances are far better to just retreat towards a more safer location instead of staying there and, well, getting still destroyed, knowing that the same position he was occupying for pretty much the last minute was already visible for a few tanks of the enemy team. And finally, the other ISU 152K, who, well, is more at an unfortunate position here at the end, but, well, he lost already so much hit points without doing, well, anything. And, yeah, just, yeah. Also, he did 0 damage. So a quick recap what we have learned absolutely not to do and how to suck as much in the game. Just drive forwards way too early into enemy line of fire and get destroyed from multiple angles by the enemies. Or stay at the location even though you know you can get shot at from right there. You can have enough hit points to make a quick retreat with, well, only taking 1 more shot. You really do not want to stay there and take still multiple shots because, well, you're still visible. It's not like if you are in the same position just because you have cover, you are invincible from time to time. If you are visible, you die. So a kind of heartbreaking but, well, somewhat also deserved defeat by 1 critical mistake at the end. But let's not all look at that one critical mistake and also find out what iTzGodlyz did well this battle, which was a lot, meaning that he went over 6,500 damage, 40,000 blocked and 7 kills, which of course gives him the Ace Tanker award, Steel Wall, High Caliber and Top Gun. Also, his amount of experience is also very impressive. I mean, consider this. This is the highest amount of experience earned by an NBTT player for the update 1.11.0 uploaded toward WoT Replays. I mean, maybe there are enough victories out there with more experience, but you know, there actually are more experienced victories in this particular update. So let's find out. Let's go toward World of Tanks replay. So I will show you what I mean, and you will see that the actual showcased experience earned is 1900 or almost 2k experience, which, well, pretty much is, I think, the experience earned when this was considered a victory. I don't know if this is a bug or glitch in the WoT Replays, but you can see that actual amount of experience is only 1219, while a victory experience like this one, the Too Silly For You, which I might also feature. Do I have this replay? I don't know. Which has way more experience and actually is more deserved officially by the standard parameters that I implemented for this series. However, I really like this kind of bug glitch because it shows the potential XP someone has earned, and I think that the amount of effort taken in order to, well, deal as much damage carrying the game, even though with that last critical decision it didn't really pan out, it still achieved the highest amount of potential experience. And the same went for the other replay that I mentioned at the start by Lucky71. In this SU, which was a draw, also featured way less experience officially than is shown right here at the, well, front page of the WoT Replays of the NBTT of 1.11.0. And last but not least, he still managed to get a quite substantial amount of profit, even though he fired pretty much all of its shells except for one premium. That was very costly, but with all of his premium account and extra achievements, he almost got 200k credit, which resulted eventually in over 70k profit. So you saw in this battle that iTzGodlyz is a very good marksman when it comes to focus firing, knowing which positions to take, and with maneuvering. However, some critical elements of improvement are always knowing which type of ammunition you fired. HE isn't the best type of ammunition to rely on, because it is still quite a roll of the dice whenever you hit the correct part of the armor of a lowly armored tank, or even the tracks, in order to not pan and do not deal the most amount of damage, especially when your ammunition is dwindling towards critical levels. But still, in general, well played for iTzGodlyz once again here. Maybe he gets the most features right now of the NBTT replay series. I really want to feature Lucky71, but because its gameplay was, well, more campy and less action orientated, I went for this replay nevertheless. But maybe next time somebody else joins the ring in the best replay of the NBTT of, let's see, 1.11.1? Yes, that's the one. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you next time. Laters.